Kath here. I'm the project manager for the Sands of Life project. So the talk today is called Mynd am dro ar gwmpas Cymru, or A Wander Around Wales. So what I'm going to do, I know you've all had a long day, and we've had, the conference has been going for a while now. So I'm going to show you lots of pictures of some beautiful sights in Wales, and it's going to be a little of a wander, both sort of visually, but also a wander through some thoughts and a wander emotionally through running a project. So, and also, when I say wander, actually, we really mean a bit of a sprint, because that's how you have to run a life project. So, better go. I'm just going to change my glasses because I can't really see what I'm doing. So just as a bit of an introduction, Twin View, that's the Welsh Sands of Life project, is now a £5.2 million project, which is an extra £1.5 million than when it started. I don't know quite where that came from. And we're covering 440,000 hectares of dunes on 10 sites. All the usual sort of things I won't go into, but I just draw your attention here. I'm going to show you some of these sites, so that you can see a number at the top in Anglesey and on the Meirionydd coast, and then ones down in South Wales as well, which we'll see. So I just want to say as well, we're a little bit different in a lot of ways to the way Dynamic Dunescapes is set up. Basically, we have got a project team of 7, and today I'm going to tell you about the conservation work. So I'm not going to try and tell you about everything that we do, but the conservation works. And so really, I've got a team of 4 people who are delivering this, 2 project officers and 2 assistants. So just worth remembering that. So first of all, I'm going to take you to Tywyn Aberfraw on Anglesey and talk about excavation of a dune notch, which is an exercise in patience and persistence. Here's lovely Aberfraw, very rich in a lot of species, as are all of our sites. And this is a frontal area, and where the notch is being dug. And I'll show you some pictures of it being done. A third of a hectare, 12,000 tonnes of sand shifted, 36,000 pounds, about 18 days, give or take. Here they are, doing their work, and the notch looks something like this. It's quite big and broad, scraping along the side. This is our friendly sand lizard, informal introduction, illegal maybe, as some may say. And a bit of our nemesis. So the notch here, you saw the price of the notch, so we spent pretty much exactly the same price, mitigating all the constraints, including that sand lizard. It took 3 years of planning and 2 failed windows, so we had quite a narrow window when we could do the work, and we had 12 separate constraints on permissions and 32 different documents, including common land consent, archaeology. This poor lady had to spend all those time there standing and watching every single day while an archaeologist doing a watching brief. But I think it was worth it. It looks I think it looks fantastic. So what am I thinking? We've heard it a lot already this week, constraints, constraints, constraints. The lessons we learn from this: don't give up. Know how to plan and work your timetable. Get all these different people together, organise the planning permission, common land consent, etc., etc., and be really great at paperwork. So I sort of lie in bed and I think and worry about everything that goes on with sand dunes. And what can we do about this? Why are all our permissions so separate and nothing is integrated? I've really learned what it's like to be a developer, and I know what red tape means now. And all these permissions and constraints are to protect the environment, aren't they? But it seems like the last thing they're protecting is our SAC habitat, the most important habitat. the most important feature on that site seems to be the thing that we're fighting to get done. So how can that be the priority when we do this whole constraint, permission, this world that we have to work within? You can see here how many we have. This is our running total for the project, permissions. 230. Okay, so now I'm going to take you right back down to South Wales, to Larne and Pendine boroughs. And we'll look at some invasive species. So this is an exercise in doing the impossible, invasive aliens. I've also called it a military exercise because this is a MOD Pendine weapons testing range. It's a NATO site used for NATO and European testing as well. That's the front. I can't show you all the tracks and the infrastructure because it's all top secret. It also looks like this. We seen invasive sea buckthorn earlier, all over the place. It's as high as a person, and a person cannot walk through it a lot of the time. This is what it looks like. You see it's invading in from the side. We were plucking ours out. I think Ruth has done something similar. 17 hectares is our total at Larne and Pendine. Here they are. There's a little bit of a forbidden structure there. Can't take photos of that. Well, we chipped it, we do that. We've had to resort to just smashing it into thousands of pieces and leaving it in a pile. But then it comes back, especially in a very hot summer like we just had, we've been sprayed 37 hectares. This is what it's looking like now. 213,000, and well, you can do some maths. Just while we're on this, I'm just checking my stats here. So invasive aliens, Standards of Life have done 59 hectares to date. So what have I thought? What have I ruminated about when it comes to invasive aliens? Well, basically fear them. Don't worry too much about whether it's native or non-native. We've got plenty of things which are acting in an invasive way either way. Herbiciding, we found, is probably the hardest thing we have done. Getting that right, getting the timing right, getting the contractors right, getting the chemicals right. That's maybe our fault, but we found that really hard. And that is really flipping well hard to kill. It's not called an invasive alien for nothing, is it? So, some of the things I have learned. So I'm going to just bring in one or two little things that I've learned from travels abroad as well as rambling around Wales. Don't be sentimental. Those little historic clumps of invasive aliens can turn on you at any time. If you want to really scare yourself, talk to people like Reinald and the other IAS experts, and they will terrify the bejesus out of you. Yeah? A rapid response, and we can try and kill these established aliens as long as we like, right? But it's about those the ones that are getting established, isn't it? And I think we talk about rapid response and early intervention, but do we ever really do that? Yeah. So if you don't know what a peri-peri burr is, look that up and be terrified. Yes? And if you see one of it, hit it with a nuclear bomb. I'll come to my other points here. This is Reinhard terrifying the life out of me, and particularly those people from Crassula folks from Holland. I mean, I just cannot even compute what they told us about having to deal with Crassula. It was horrendous. And this is a photo I took in Denmark, where they do not use herbicide at all over all the public sector. Is this the future we have got coming? Slightly facetious. This is a bucket and an invasive sapling here, and they're trying to kill it by, making it dark. It's a slightly facetious, but it's a trial. But they were really doing this. So think on that. Okay, so I'm going to take you back up north to Newborough Forest in Anglesey, and working in a commercial forest on a sand dune. So this is an exercise in engagement and tolerance. I like that hang in the air. So this is what Newborough Forest looks like. So it's one of the best sand dune sites in the whole of the UK. About half of it is a beautiful, fantastic sand dune, and the other half is a commercial forest. Looks like that, looks like this, it looks like this. But in it, we have these little glades and open spaces, like so and like so. And they're really biodiverse and fantastic, beautiful, beautiful places. And look like that. And there's that wretched shore dog again. Poor thing, it's been marooned in this forest. It can't see a shore anywhere, really. And this is the edge of the forest. I think these are some Graham's scrapes, notches and such, yeah? Thank you. And can you see the edge of the forest, just that little dark bit on the side? So, you know, when we look really close up, we can see all those lovely flowers, but actually most of these glades look like this, and this, and this, sadly. Oh, and that. So we come in, and we do this to it. And so we're clearing scrub on this one. You can see all the trees hovering and looming around us and shading and all that stuff, yes? But they don't get touched. Not one tree has been felled. Conifer. Lots of native scrub. And then we scrape them. And more, and load of stuff like this. Actually, while I'm here, we have our total of scraping bare sand. We're now up to 22 hectares. Yay. Right, getting rid of all these dead trees. That's difficult too. And so on. So, get the gist, yeah? So then this is what it's looking like now. Well, after it was done, it's obviously vegetating more. These are these scraped glades, pools in the middle, wet and dry scraping around the sides, like so. This is down at the front, so right opening up onto those frontal dunes that were Graham's, and again opening up onto open habitat. All the scrub cleared out, but it's coming back as soon as you look away. And the beautiful pools, great crested newts all over the place, by the way. That's another of those fine constraints. Some medicinal leech in there. So, forests on sand dunes, here to stay, yeah? So, no conifer trees were harmed in this exercise. You have to talk to everyone, you have to tell them what you're doing, about 1,000 million times. And you have to understand other people's viewpoints, of the viewpoint of foresters. And you have to have more stamina than they have. So we've got great gains from this because we're going from some really degraded habitats to some really pioneer habitat, great stuff. But are we absolutely and completely crazy trying to restore sand dunes in the middle of an enormous grey conifer forest? Or is this a longer game than that? So we need to be talking about to ourselves, what are the future of forests on sand dunes? When are we moving to a nature-based solution, or a rewilding, or managing the ecosystem? When are we getting there? We've been doing it for all these years, but when are we actually going to do it? What is dune woodland anyway, and what about the Belgians? So this is what is about the Belgians, yes? This is a beautiful Belgian dune, yes? What's it called, anybody? Yeah, that, yeah. So I've been thinking, we went to visit this, and I've been thinking about these ever since, yes? So look at that. I mean, there's a dune woodland, is it? And these beautiful bits of bare sand and intermediate habitat and scrub and trees. Yeah, and you know, what do we call this in Britain? We call this, you know, a job that needs to be cleared out, yes? But in Belgium, they call that a good sand dune. So it's all about some perspective. This is a Danish one, dune woodland. And then people tell me we have no dune woodland in the UK, and it's not a feature, is it? And it's a problem. So considering there is no dune woodland, it's all over the place, isn't it? Yeah? All over Kempfig and Newborough and everywhere. So what are we doing about this? And are we at a point where we have to embrace this? Okay. Back to South Wales, Merthyr Mawr and Bridgend. So this is an exercise in boldness and bravery. This is Merthyr Mawr, lovely. We have the biggest sand dune, highest, 62 metres. Kept open by people, look at that, entirely. It's perched on the cliff, so that's cheating, isn't it, I guess. And then we have this is mobilisation work, artificial sand dunes done 10 years ago by Duncan Ludlow. Look at that, it's great, isn't it? And that. It's just fantastic. So anyway, we come along and we start, oh yeah, we'll do a bit of this, and let's do this like 20 metres by 30 metres scrapes. They're great, they were for petal work, it was for a reason. And we did some little blowouts as well, but come on, we can't be doing little tiny things like this any longer. There they are, and then you can see this big one down at the front. And we had a load of problems because changing of ownership and because the site manager leaving, because of the change in ownership, and we were left stranded, right? And we had to tackle on with this great big blue bit here. So this is what it looked like beforehand. It was all gravel workings, so the whole geomorphology was disturbed anyway. So Laura, basically, without a lot of experience of this, just had to, she didn't have Duncan to help, which was the plan, but she just had to flip and do it. So, I'm hundreds of miles away in North Wales, wherever. So we crack on, 2 hectares, and there's the people on site. It's just going to scroll around to give you a bit of a feel of the scope and scale of it. All right, got to sprint on. Okay, so then there's our notch, with all our auditors walking down it and the management inspecting it very thoroughly. And watch out for the sewage pipe, which runs right down the middle of it. Do not break that. There's another constraint for you. There's sort of the blowout and the 4 dunes, which were stripped lightly, and the notch comes down and round into this big open area, and then finally we have a big slack, that's the restored slack, which is a gravel working. So it's 2 hectares, 4 altogether, including all those little bits, £60,000. So I think that's good value. I won't tell you how much all that work in Newborough Forest cost, because it was just, some sites really cheap, some sites really expensive. That's what it looks like in a landscape. So I think about this a lot at night. How big is big enough? How mobile is mobile enough? So anyway, a few lessons learned. Have faith in yourself, be brave, go in, do it, even if you're terrified. The 4 dunes are the place to do it. That sounds obvious, but I've just shown you all those work in the forest. Don't break the sewage pipe. Yeah, but what are we going to do? We've got these phases. What Duncan, our phase, who's doing the next phase? And how will we maintain it in the long term? So look, this is Holland. It's Zandvoort. Look how big that is. This is where I'm like, oh, what, have we done it big enough? Is it going to move enough? Or am I just going to sort of stabilise after 4 or 5 years? Look at that. So, and this is Mark's little. This is his little scrape, yes? His little blowout. But that's not little, is it? You saw mine a minute ago. I don't know. You think about that. So, the next one, a couple of sites, which is actually getting rid of commercial conifers. I said none of them were harmed. I was just Newborough. So is somewhere they are removed entirely. Exercise in self-belief and do what we thought was impossible. Whitford Burrows, it's lovely. It looks like that. It also looks like that. There's the trees down the side in the landscape. They look like that. and they come on down. Yeah, it looks easy. There was lots of stuff, felling licenses, no access, tiny village, no proper road, a track, goodness knows whatever. Oh, that's the price. I don't know, that's not so bad, I don't think. Felling and thinning. And sold on the market. They were National Trust trees, they got the money. £40,000. We got a bit of wind blow afterwards. That was part of the plan, kind of. Because you know what they're going to do if you thin it, they're going to fall over. And that was Nick's idea. And that's what it looks like now. And you see the green is the established. And quite a clean finish, yes, and then, but we cleared up the rest and made a few rabbit warrens. So also at Harlech we had a go. That's what Harlech looks like, lovely. There's trees, lots of tree looping. Underneath loads of them is a broom, and there's the slacks that they're bothering. Here's a load of people, so we have to have basically lots and lots of conversations. Don't be fooled by the casual attire. These are very professional and serious forest planners. But the foresters helped us get these trees down. The ones at Whitford we did and contracted everybody. Here the foresters worked with us and they got the trees down. I'm just showing you this because I think it's really cool. And the machinery they have and how they work, and they just come in there, bang, bang, bang. And look at the price, 10 hectares, £50,000, including all the brash. Up. Brilliant. It's enough. So we have, that's what it looks like. Huge pile of brash, huge pile of sandy brash. You know, look at this, it's a joy to my heart, yes? This trucks taking sand dune trees to market. Hallelujah. We were only supposed to do half a hectare, but I'm not going to go through this level of stress and trouble for half a hectare. Get the flipping 10 down, go for it. And yes, and then this one, so our foresters, they're fantastic. They persuaded this chap to come and chip it all and take it off to the chipping market. And then he cursed about it because it's all full of sand. But anyway, what did we learn? If you keep going on and on and on at somebody every month for 2 years, 3 years, eventually they'll do what you want them to do. That's the foresters who did it for us, but it cost us nothing. Brilliant. Professional foresters are really, really good at felling and selling trees. Who would guess? They really are. Brilliant prices. And you can sell sandy conifers for money if the market's up, but you can only sell them when they're alive, and if you wait for them to die on their feet, they're a liability, not an asset. Forestry plant is amazing, I think I've already said that. Almost, you know, it's very tempting, isn't it? I go and work in forestry. Right, my ruminations for this is, I'm not even going to go into this, yeah? But, you know, we have to address this issue that, you know, foresters love felling trees, but they must replant them, yes? That's what all those conversations were about. And then we went on, so I'm taking this a little further now. So people had felled some trees before, I'll show you what happened there. So great job done. So about 2016, I think. Shout out if I'm wrong. But then the various issues, and then we got a forest of invasive broom when we looked the other way. So we had to deal with that. Then we had to come in and take out the stumps. I'm bored of that one. Then we've got all this. This is our bit that we felled, and this is what it looked like once the trees had gone. You see there's a few sets still there, yeah? So these one, lots of invasive broom coming back. We didn't want it to look like that previous slide, and various scrub. So quick, bang, get a contract in there, and then just got a bit carried away and did a bit of scraping while we were at it. And that's where it looks, that's that scrape in the landscape. So, lots of unexploded ordnance on this site. We spent 56,000 on this site alone. There's your gentleman doing the job. And I think we've done about, just checking my stats, 65 hectares of UXOs altogether. I think we're going to be looking at £200,000. Nothing as exciting as today. I feel really bad about this, but this is a bit of, you know, solid tank shot and lots of scrap and fences, yeah? So they really hated us by the end of this. And a few kind of camping pounds and whatnot. So, look, what we started to do was just bring all of this together and do lots and lots of concerted effort on 18 hectares, yes? So you've got the trees down, we're following up, and then we decided to move one of our actions and put it here as well. This is all land managed by NRW. So we start doing a slack restoration, blah, blah, blah. I think that Michael Portillo turned up, put us on the telly, hopefully. That's Jake looking really chuffed, but he doesn't even know who he is because he's a young man. But anyway. Anyway, then that happened, yeah? So that's afterwards, and it filled up. So we made, got rid of all those stumps, the ex-forestry land, and it turned it into a slack. That's just another view, just showing you a few of the trees in the foreground. And just another one because I like it a lot. So there's your 18 hectares, so not counting the forestry trees, which we didn't pay for, the Fantastic Foresters did that. It was 120k for this 18 hectares of concerted effort. So every square metre in that 18 hectares was restored, it was gone over once, twice, 3 times, whatever. So that's the price per hectare. So every time I go there, I say to myself, does it look like a Dune yet? Yeah? I don't know, does it? Come on, please say yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Wow, it's hard. So Michael Portillo said that conservation just got muscles, so you know, I like that. So yeah, what have I learned? If you turn your back, there'll be a forest of invasives after those trees. I've said the other bit. If you concentrate your efforts, you can have real impact in one place. Sometimes, but this is right at the hind part of the dunes, yes? But why are we doing all this work, all this money, right at the back side of the dunes, and not at the front? But that's the bit of land we had control over. And then we have to think about what do we do next, yes? And what about the rest, yeah? We sort of shooted our shot. That's not a phrase, is it? But on this bit, but what about all the rest? Okay, I'm nearly there. Right, Kenfig Burrows, exercise and working together and logistics. Famous for its fen orchid, so there's like hugely important plants all over this site, so you can't move. Other species specialists you know, very concerned, you can't, you know, don't make any damage. And also we had another change of ownership here. We lost the warden. And then there was a new warden, Chris, who's here. So we were having to talk to lots and lots of different people, talk to people in the past, start all over again, talk to species specialists. So that's, you know, we couldn't work in partnership on a site like this. Nothing was ever going to happen. Shout out for Nick as well there, he's here. The other thing about logistics is this was our original bit, grant agreement plan, and it looks kind of coherent, but actually all these actions are really long way apart. This site's really big. So I don't know, 700 hectares, something. So, you know, you spend all your time travelling around the sites, you can't get to anywhere, it's too separate. So we try to bring everything together in this sort of landscape of restoration where we could actually see it, it's not fragmented, we're really making progress in one place and putting our efforts together. So you can see notches, blowouts, scrub clearance, I'll show you. There's the notches. You know, don't tell me they're not deep enough or big enough or whatever, no, because I can't. there's a massive great road, haul road in the way, sort of made up, gravel and stuff. So anyway, we had to skip over that, do some dry clearance, blowouts, and then we're thinking, oh, they're not big enough, so we go back and we do some more and join a few up. And then anyway, it all looks like this, you know the idea now. Here's us going back and back and back, yeah? So first we clear scrub. This is massive, you know, felling license scrub, yes? That's another of those permissions. So they went like that, and then the wretched stuff started to grow back, so we decided we're going to scrape it, and then it flooded up. Great. So, a project is nothing without its partners. So again, bring up some of our scattered actions together, that's something we learned. And shall I say, a site warden or a site manager is a great thing? Can we agree with that? How can species conservationists and habitat conservationists get along better? I'll ask that question. And, you know, I just wanted to put this in, is that what I'm seeing now is the private sector, a couple of these sites I've showed you, where the public sector have left, basically. These are national nature reserves, and the public sector have left, and I'm seeing the private sector coming in, getting more interested, i.e. the original landowners, yes? So this private sector managers have left for all sorts of reasons, no blame or anything. And those original landowners, whether they're a community trust or private estate, are now hiring their own site managers, environmental officers, and they're talking in a different language, and they're saying, you know, where's the future going? I'm interested in the environment, I think I can make some money out of the environment, whatever it is. You know, it's just something I've seen happen, and I think we should be on that one. And I also think we should be looking at our contractors and saying, as we leave, I've thought to myself, who knows most about making scrapes and notches in Wales, especially as we are leaving? And do you know who it is? It's our contractors. It's our contractor supervisor knows the most. And that's an interesting thought, isn't it? And what are we doing with them? And how much have they come on in the time we've had them? A lot, in my view, in Wales. So I'm just going to finally say, I'm going to say thank you to everyone who's made it happen. First, I'm going to say thank you to the livestock who actually make it happen. I haven't talked about any of our fencing or any of our work with cattle collars or anything like that because I haven't got time, but I just thought I'd throw the livestock in because it's a nice picture, and also because, you know, just to remind ourselves that these are absolutely key. The ponies, oh, there is a little bit of our fence, won't mention that. Well, I will actually. So we've done a total of 18 kilometres of fencing, and actually overall we have now a running total of hectares of work done is 286. So that actually hectares of land actually impacted, restored, scraped, scrub cleared, whatever, yes? And that, obviously, as I said, we go over certain things over and again, so but the total of land actually restored is 215. This is our contractors, again, and the chap with the beard is called Kevin, who's, you know, been an absolute star. Obviously, we were lots of different companies, and we always procure them in a very rigorous way to control our costs, but, you know, we couldn't do any of this without these guys, yeah? And the amount they've learned, and the amount, and the professionalism, and the amount of hard work they put in, is just phenomenal, yes? The time they get up in the morning, the fact they drag this machinery from South Wales to North Wales, it's amazing. I need to thank our site wardens. There's Nick sitting in a strange construction in Denmark. I think you can go and spend the night here for free, in the middle of the dunes.
3-star.
So obviously our site managers are absolutely key. They're there before, they're during, they're thereafter. You know, and then we're always kind of grabbing the glory but you know, that's not really how it is it? And so I need to thank the team, as Laura and Tony, and the rest of the team, Jake, Lucy, also Kay back in the office, and all the other people who've been associated with the team, Tom, and our honorary team members as well, Jules and Graham. So, yeah, that's my little race through Wales. Hope you enjoyed that. So I just wanted to, just to finish off, I just wanted to say, you know, how many people, could we just, sorry, put my hand up, who's here in this room fighting to save sand dunes as part of a project, to, you know, it's part of Dune Site Stands of Life. Can you just put your hand up? Yeah, brilliant. And how many, just out of interest, how many people are still standing from the beginning? Yeah? Yeah. Yeah, and we're still here, we're still fighting, we're still going at it. So I think we all need a round of applause, yeah?
Engagement Officer for Wales, Dynamic Dunescapes. This is a question for you, Kath, but it is also for the group generally. For those of you who know me, I came from the restoration world, and you mentioned all of the quality challenges, the challenges with permissions, permits. What do we think needs to happen on a much larger scale for restoration in the UK to enable restoration practitioners to get on with restoration, rather than facing a lot of challenges when it comes to permits, either in the marine landscape or coastal or terrestrial, because it is throughout all these different restoration projects that are having these challenges, from seagrass to salt marsh to sand dune. So for yourself, but also for the room.
Yeah. I don't really know the answer. I mean, do we try and get permissions up front for the whole project in one fell swoop? When we took the approach that we had to know the detail of what we were going to do, and then we presented that to the, you know, species licensing or whoever it was, so they knew what we were going to do, and that made sense, didn't it? But I mean, maybe that's just not feasible, and we need to do something much more broad brush and tackle it as a whole for one of, you know, a set of permissions for the whole project. Is that even a thing? Is that possible?
So Natalie, the People Engagement Officer for Sefton. Just want to come back with that, and maybe it's something that there needs to be a difference between developers and conservation organisations in these permissions. Maybe that's something that we need to...
That's absolutely right. That's what I've learned, and that, you know, I was trying to get that across quickly, is that we are treated as if we're harming the environment, as if we're building, honestly, exactly the same as if we're going to build a car park on the outside, aren't we? But we're not harming the environment, we're trying to help it. So all of the permissions are not geared up to that approach. So it's almost like we're an uncomfortable fit with the whole process. But I don't know how to fix that.
Okay, so we've also got a question from online, Kath. Do the Anglesey forests have red squirrels, and how do you compare them to dune ecology?
Yes, they do have red squirrels. So Anglesey as a whole is a big enclave for red squirrels, and you know, they're very well regarded and well liked, aren't they? Well, that forest is very large, and my feeling is there's room for all sorts of things there. And some of the conflicts are probably not really conflicts, and that we can work together on all these things. And what we've done is try to work and live with that forest and within it. And if we could just go a little bit further, and we could have some sort of more gradual edges to those glades, if we could look at the areas nearer the fringes, if we could look at the areas of the forest that are liable for flooding in the future, look at more naturalised ways of managing it, you know, I think there's space for everything. And that's the point I was saying about single species conservation, isn't it? as against habitat conservation. But we shouldn't be talking about habitat conservation now, should we? We should be talking about ecosystem conservation, shouldn't we?